CCLI. I'm Paul Herman, here today with Bob Bennett, prolific artist and songwriter. Bob, it's an honor to have you here at CCLI.
Thank you, Paul.
So tell us about the early days. Those first few albums, I think, really set the tone for you as a storyteller.
Well, I sort of was very much influenced by the first wave of Jesus music musicians that were coming along at the time. Larry Norman, Randy Stonehill, Randy Matthews, Phil Keaggy, Love Song, Second Chapter of Acts, all those guys. So I was kind of the second wave of those people. I was associated at the time with Maranatha Music, which at the time was a label owned by Calvary Chapel. And so I made my first album with them, and then went on to a short-lived but very interesting association with CBS, and on Priority, and did a couple albums for them. So it was my lifelong dream to make a record. When you're in your bedroom listening to the radio and playing your guitar and all that, you want to do what those guys are doing.
Yeah.
And so I was happy that it finally happened.
Nice. You seem to have a unique voice as a storyteller. Who are some of your other influences?
I grew up during the folk music era, so before there was ever a Beatles, I was listening to the Kingston Trio, the Limelighters, the Weavers, Peter, Paul and Ray. You can ask your grandparents about these. And of course, the essence of much folk music was storytelling. Now, once the Beatles came along and were writing their own songs, that was a big deal for everybody. But then, what I consider to be the golden age of the singer-songwriter then started. Then we had James Taylor, Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, Stephen Bishop, Dan Fogelberg, people like that. So I was listening to their records at home saying, man, I want to do this,
So why is that storytelling element seem to be missing today?
I can't quite tell why, and I think it's an interesting anomaly, because if you think about it, we live in the age of binging Netflix for 5 hours at a time.
Yeah.
The culture at large is telling a story is still insanely important, no matter what your belief system is.
Yeah.
People are checking into story. I think the problem with television is not that it's so bad, but that it's so great now. TV is kind of the new movies. They're doing incredible storytelling.
Yeah.
So my thought is, yes, as a guy who's been around for a while and has a dog in the hunt, when I say, where are the storytelling songs, everybody? Of course, I have a very personal stake in that, but what I'm also saying is, since this is such a central part of who we are as a culture and as a people, why are we in the church not all over that in a musical way?
Right.
Why are we not still all over that?
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, your song "Man of the Tombs" is very much that. I'd love to hear you talk about it.
Well, the song is about the Gadarene demoniac. We don't know his name, but that's the story. And I was in a real severe time of my own life, and I was kind of playing Bible roulette one night, and I opened up the Bible and I read the story of this man. He's a pretty severe situation. He's in pretty big trouble. And I said, oh Lord, that's me. And what got me through the door of trying to write Man of the Tombs was realizing that although this man was capable of monstrous behavior and he was in a deep amount of trouble, he was still just a flesh and blood guy, just like me. And so once I found that common humanity entree into his story, then I realized as I was writing his story, I was sort of writing mine as well.
Wow. So you recently did an album
Yes.
live at Judson University. Tell us about that.
It was a wonderful thing to do. I've been befriended by Warren Anderson, who's the director of the music program there. And they were having a homecoming event. And he said, Bob, will you come? And I'd like to do background vocals and vocals with the choir for your songs. And I said, solo acoustic guy with choir, is that going to work? Well, it did. It did splendidly. The idea is that not only the present choir, but all of the alumni were coming back from homecoming. So everyone, whether they were at the school or scattered around the country, were rehearsing with my albums. Then we got together on a Saturday afternoon, did one giant rehearsal. We did one concert that evening, and in one take, we recorded the concert, and there it is. So when you have that many, I've been a solo guy my entire life. It's not that I don't want to play well with others, that's just the situation I find myself in. To have that many people pointed in my music direction at once, and to have them be all young people. my heart was like, oh, thank you, you guys. It's really cool.
Wow, that's great. Any last thoughts for our songwriters out there?
I would want to say that I think sometimes we get it a little backwards and a little more narrow cast than we should. I think if you're a Christian and you're in the arts, no matter what that endeavor may be, I think you have the broadest mandate to create, not the narrowest. Now, I would never tell you that writing a song about being in a laundromat is the same as how great thou art.
Yeah.
And the laundromat song doesn't belong at offertory. But Christians should be writing songs about the whole fabric of life. And so I am always trying to encourage and release Christian artists to say, you need to really go for it, because when you exercise the creative gift, it's something that's hardwired into your DNA as a human being. God spoke the world into creation. He is relentlessly creative. Go and do that likewise.
Nice. Bob, this has been great. It's been an honor to have you, just to hear you share. It's terrific.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much. Thank you for watching. Take care.